Hi everyone, my name is Melanie Shapiro. I'm an immigration attorney and my office is located in Norwood, Massachusetts. We specialize in removal defense, asylum law, and family petitions and helping people who've been subjected to domestic violence and child abuse and naturalization. So I wanted to jump on today and check in with everyone and answer your questions. So if you have questions, you can leave them in the comments and I'll be happy to get to them today. So a couple of things that I want to talk about is about what happened this week. So we had a couple of big wins in immigration this week. So on Tuesday, I went for a naturalization interview for someone who has been in this country since 2005, since I think he was 16 years old. A very complicated case. He had tried other types of petitions before. He tried to get an adoption petition. He tried to get some petition for helping the government. He tried a lot of different things. Eventually, he got a marriage petition approved. And after he has had his status for a while, he was able to go for an interview. Now, the case was complicated because there were some criminal issues. And he had a record, and so we had to deal with that issue. And we didn't really know what was going to happen, how the officer was going to handle some of these cases. But luckily, today, I was able to call him actually last night and tell him that he is going to become a citizen and he will be voting in the next election. So hooray, we have another new voter for this election, and this is a very important one, so I'm thrilled for him. And then on Wednesday, we had a very difficult asylum trial for a gay man from Uganda, where if someone is gay in Uganda, currently you can face life imprisonment. And there is a bill that was introduced in October to make being gay a death penalty. So you can be killed for being gay in Uganda. So this was truly a life or death type of case, and we won. It was a long trial, and we won. And there's nothing better than that feeling, knowing that somebody is going to be okay, somebody's going to be safe, because the alternative is disaster, death. So I was really happy to win that case for him. And now, we're working on some other similar cases. So those are the updates with the office. I do have some questions that were sent in that I'm going to answer. But please feel free to comment, give me a heart, let me know if you have any questions. So let's see. The first question is, how long is it taking to get receipt notices right now? So because of the pandemic, and that many immigration officers are working from home, there is a significant backup in the time frame of getting receipt notices, or just not getting one at all. So what our office has been doing is we send everything priority mail with a tracking number. And if we don't hear from USCIS in like a month, then we send a letter to them requesting a receipt notice and showing that the application was received by using the tracking number and printing out from the website showing that it was in fact delivered. Or if it's something that requires a fee, you can show that the check was cashed as well. So we have had some success with that. They are taking a long time. Normally it would take like 2 weeks to get a receipt notice, but it can take a lot longer now, sometimes a couple of months. But just send in a letter with your receipt, your tracking receipt, and ask for another receipt notice. Okay, and the next question is, how long is everything taking? So that's a general question. How long are the petitions taking to process? There's a website, uscis.gov, and you can look at that website, and there's a processing times section, and you can put in what type of case it is and where the case was sent, and it can give you a time frame of how long the case will take. And a lot of times the time frame will be very large, but usually on the quicker end of things is a bit more accurate because the longer end is for problem cases. So if your case is pretty straightforward, you can look towards like the beginning of the processing times there. Things are definitely delayed because of the pandemic, so just keep that in mind when you look at the estimates. And how long is it taking for our office to get documents out? I get that question a lot. How quickly can you file my case? So the answer is dependent upon how quickly can you get us the documents that we request. And as soon as we have all of the documents that we need, all the forms are done, then we usually can get it out in a week or two. And let's see, the next question. We just had somebody in here who's a new client, and he was asking us, well, how can I get a bank account? I don't have any documentation. I don't have a social security number. So there are some banks that will set up a bank account for you even if you don't have a social security number. Well, one thing that I recommend doing is getting an ITIN number, Individual Taxpayer Identification Number. So the ITIN number you can also get on the IRS website, irs.gov, and you can sign up for an ITIN number. So it's not a social security number, but it is a taxpayer identification number. So you can use that number to pay taxes. You can use that number to open a bank account. So I recommend that you get an ITIN number if you are not in a status where you can get a social security number. And some of the banks that I've worked with that have been helpful, Bank of America, Santander Bank, TD Bank. So these are some of the banks that will do it for you. You don't need a social security number to open a bank account. The next question, let's see, is, okay, so some people have been asking us, is there anything you can do to speed up my case for certain types of cases? And really, unfortunately, for a lot of these cases, we're stuck with the processing times. For example, work permits. Work permits are going to take as long as they're going to take, and it's not a type of case that can be expedited. There are certain types of cases that we can expedite, such as asylum cases, or if there's a consular processing and there's an emergency. Those are the types of cases that we can try to expedite, but there's other cases that we just can't do anything about that. One of the things that we do at the office is we have relationships with the senators and the Congress people's offices. They all have immigration liaisons, and when we have a problem case, we can coordinate with them because they have more access to the government than we do to try and find out what's going on with the case. So if we are at a point where we cannot do anything else, then we do reach out to the liaisons at the congressperson and the senator's offices. I'm also a member of AILA, the American Immigration Lawyers Association, and we have liaisons within our bar association with the different government agencies. So we can also use those relationships to try and sort out a problem case. The next question, what is the normal processing time for an asylum case? So a few years ago, there was a new policy issued called LIFO, last in, first out. So that meant that all of the cases that were being filed at that point in time were going to be heard first, and all of the old cases got pushed back down the line. So it kind of depends when you file your case. If you're filing a case now, you might get an interview in a few months. If you filed your case in 2016, you're probably still waiting for an interview. I have cases that I filed in 2015, still no interview. So it kind of depends. Again, this, as I mentioned, asylum is a type of case that I can expedite. So if we have all of your documents and you have some extenuating circumstances like mental health issues or a medical issue or some other concern, then we can request for your case to be put on what's called the short list, so that if there's a cancellation, then we'll get a call to our office and be able to go in quickly for an interview. The short list waives the 21-day notice requirement, so that means that we might get called today for an interview tomorrow, and that's all the time that we have of notice. So I use that in really extreme circumstances. So for example, I have used that for a case where a client had her children back in her country and had severe medical issues. So I put her on the short list, and we were able to get her case approved within a couple of months and apply for her children right away. So that's an example of a shortlist case. And the next question, what is the normal processing time for a marriage petition? So those are taking about a year, and it kind of depends on how you're doing the process. If you're doing it in the United States, it's taking like a year, a little bit less. But if you're doing it where your spouse is in another country and you have to bring them to the United States, it's taking up to about 16 months. The next question, because of COVID, will this change my overall waiting period? Yes, absolutely. It's definitely taking longer these days with COVID to process the cases, but hopefully it'll be quicker now that the offices are back open. And the last question that I have is, if I apply for a work permit, can I apply for the travel permit in the same application, and is it a separate fee? This is a good question. Recently we've had people say, oh, I don't really need the travel permit, and think that it's going to cost more money, right? So with the application for adjustment of status, the filing fee you pay for that also allows you to include the work permit application and the travel document request at the same time for no extra fee. And now the travel document is part of the work permit card. So it's an employment authorization document. It's just a card. And on the bottom it says if it's for travel as well. So before they used to have two separate documents, but now they're the same document. So even if you think that you don't need the travel document, I always do those for my clients just in case, because you never know if an emergency is going to come up and you have to travel somewhere. So it's just a good thing to have. So I think, unless anybody else has any other questions, that's it. Thank you so much for watching the video, and we will be back live on Monday at noon, back to our regular schedule, Monday at noon in English and Wednesday at 4 in Spanish. And stay tuned for more information on our Facebook page and updates on the news. I hope everyone has a great day. Bye.